thank you all for your attention. I know you guys have been sitting here for a while, but these are important questions. So Sarah, you get this one first, and hot topic.
Oh, geez.
If there were another pandemic,
Ooh.
and the governor ordered a shutdown of private meetings such as churches or veteran organizations, would you prosecute the leadership, i.e. the pastors, if they continued services or meetings against the governor's orders?
Against the governor's orders. I'm sorry, but I don't know if that is a crime. I've never considered that, looked into it, prosecuted it before. So I can't competently answer that question. In the legal world, we would say, I have to review that and get back to you. I can tell you that if there's a crime that's occurring, I would prosecute it, because that's our job. We're law enforcers. We are not lawmakers. It is not our job to determine what the policy should or shouldn't be. It is our job to enforce that. So if a governor's order is a prosecutable offense under our criminal justice statute, and it was a felony that came to the county attorney's office, then yes, we would enforce that.
Jonathan, same question. If there were another pandemic and the governor ordered a shutdown of private meetings such as churches or veteran organizations, would you prosecute the leadership, i.e. the pastor, if they continued services or meetings against the governor's orders?
On the religious side of it, no. I think that religious freedom is a very important thing in this country, and you're messing with the First Amendment if you're prosecuting people for peacefully assembling, especially for their religious rights. If they want to meet, if they're informed, if they know what they're talking, they should be able to do that. And again, that just goes to a free society, right? You're accountable for your own behaviors. You're responsible for your own consequences. And if people were going to meet during the pandemic, the last pandemic that we had, and they wanted to take the risk of meeting up, they could do that. I didn't. I stayed in my house. I remained 6 feet away from each other. I did not get the jab, so to speak, but I mean, that was my personal choice. And I really gave serious consideration as to what if somebody was going to fire me from my job as a prosecutor if I didn't. And I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? So I think that we have to respect people's own personal sense of freedom. And if you don't want to be around people that aren't abiding by that and you want to protect your own safety, you can do that for yourself. But I would not prosecute anybody that did that. And I would stand up against the governor. I would have the fortitude to actually do that. Ask any judge I've been in front of, they'll let you know. I've got the fortitude to push back and say, hey, this isn't what we're doing here today.
Thank you. Okay, next, same question. If there were another pandemic and the governor ordered a shutdown of private meetings such as churches or veteran organizations, would you prosecute the leadership, i.e. the pastors, if they continued services or meetings against the governor's orders?
It's a really challenging question to answer. From my perspective and my faith in my religion, I would want to continue to be able to go to church and make that decision for myself. But I would need to understand whether this was a crime that the legislature had passed, because a governor's order may be different than a law passed by our legislature. You would hope that the legislature would have passed a law that reflects what the people want. So your county prosecutor needs to enforce the law, but they also have to have good, sound judgment and understand where there is actually a law that's being broken or whether this is just a policy.
Thank you. So that was the end of the questions. I want you all to give these candidates a really big I think they all did a fantastic job. I really think they did a fantastic job.